All right, looks like we have a good amount of people logged on already. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Always want to make sure I'm being respectful of your time here. And as always, I do record these sessions. So if we get anyone who joins a few minutes late, no worries. They can always go back and watch any part of the recording that they may have missed, as well as you guys can go through and rewatch the session as well. So welcome, everybody. Happy Thursday. Great to see you guys again. Just as want to introduce myself again, if some of you are just joining our sessions, but my name is Shalene. I am one of the trainers here at Back at You. And today we are going to be talking about the CRM portion of your office account. So we'll go over how to upload contacts into the account. We'll talk about leads a little bit, and ultimately everything that you can do with those contacts and leads. So let's just go ahead and jump in. Please feel free to utilize that chat box to the side there. Type in any questions you may have along the way. I will try to stop periodically as well, just to make sure everything's clear as we move forward and open the floor up to questions. So whenever you log in to your MyCB Star account here, it's always going to open up your home dashboard. And your home dashboard is going to give you that high level overview of what's been going on in your account here. You can keep track of the contacts and leads, any new messages that you may have, any active listings that you'll have will automatically populate into the system. What's really cool is that we keep track of your contact activity. So, how your contacts are interacting with your website, any to do items you may have, this marketing activities gauge, and this favorite contact gauge. I'll show you when we jump into the CRM how you can favorite contacts to easily show up on your home dashboard. That way, you can quickly access them if you need to input some notes, if you need to add an action item for them. They'll be easily accessible here on your home dashboard. Now, there are two ways to access your CRM portion. You can easily click this contacts and leads widget, or you can click on customer relations and my contacts and leads here. When you click on my contacts and leads, it's going to open up your contacts and leads main dashboard. It will show all of your contacts and leads in the system. You can filter it if you only want to view your contacts or if you only want to view your leads. You can also create custom views as well. You are going to be able to do the same exact things with your contacts as you are going to be able to do with your leads. The main difference between your contacts and leads is this. Contacts are people that you are uploading into your account. So you've uploaded them, you're adding that information. So we want you to be able to have full control over that contact. A lead is someone coming in from a different source, whether it's your website, maybe one of the landing pages. A lead is coming in from somewhere else. So your contacts, you are going to be able to delete out of the system because those are people that you are uploading. We want you to have full control over your contact list. Leads, you are not going to be able to delete leads out of the system for reporting purposes. We do report on where your leads are coming from. So we do not allow you to delete out of the system because otherwise it would mess up that reporting. You can mark your leads as dead. If you do not want to show any of your leads here of that lead, you don't want it to show in your CRM anymore, you can mark that lead as dead, and I'll show you how to change that status when we actually dive in and go into these contact details. Additionally, you can forward leads into your CRM here from another source. So if you are utilizing a third party source to generate leads and you want to have them automatically populate into your CRM so you can manage them here, you can definitely do that. I'm going to input that forwarding email address into the chat box here. All you would have to do is include your user ID, so that user ID that you use to log into your office account, .leads@mycbstar.com. And I'm going to add that there. Can you track any activity on any website you assign to your CRM? Great question. No, we only track activity on how your contact is interacting with your website. So if they're searching up properties via your website, we can track that. We unfortunately cannot track how they're interacting on like a third party site or anything. Or if you're adding them to drip campaigns, we keep track of if they've opened that campaign or anything in that nature there. Does that help answer that? Okay, if you're still unclear, maybe you want to like clarify the question a little bit more. So if you have your own website, that is not the website that Back at You has provided you with the system, then we do not track activity via that website. But the websites that we covered on that first session, where you can go into my account and this website here, we do track contact activity via that website. No problem. All right. So, the first part of your CRM is, of course, uploading those contacts because this is going to be blank or empty. So, you want to start uploading contacts in here. There are two ways that you can upload contacts. First way is on that individual basis where you can click this new contact button and easily upload a contact. I'm just going to upload myself again. All I need is my first name, last name, any other information I want to add here, I can, and then I hit save. We're going to dive into all of these contact details after I show you how to bulk upload a list of contacts. So that's how you can do it on an individual basis, just this new contact button. If you want to bulk upload a list of contacts, you can definitely do that. And to do that, you're going to click on this manage button and import contacts. When you are bulk uploading a list of contacts, it does have to be in a CSV file, so a comma separated value file. If it is in an Excel spreadsheet or a Google sheet, it's really easy. You can save as, and one of those options is a comma separated value file. Keep in mind, it does have to be a CSV file there in order for you to upload that list. When I click import contacts, it's going to open up our import wizard here where I just hit next. And now I just add my file. So I'm going to choose my test file that I have on my desktop. It's my test CSV file. This question here, does my first row contain field names? This is asking on the sheet that I'm about to upload, does that first row contain the field names or those column headers of the data that is in each column? For my sheet, I'm going to mark yes. That way I can go ahead and skip that first line and match the column headers in the next step here. That file format is going to be a comma separated value. I want to import it into my contacts. And then this public ID and owner public ID is going to be your name here. You won't have to change that. I just hit next. Now, this step is very important, and this is the step that agents tend to miss. You want to make sure that you go through and you match each column header with the data in that column. If you skip this step and you just hit next, it will just upload a blank list of contacts where you'll just have to remove those contacts and re-upload again. So just remember, go through and easily match the column headers with the data in that specific column. So I'm going to go through, match these columns here. Mm-mm-mm. Postal code, email, and phone number. And that's it. So that's the end of my fields here. I am going to go ahead and hit next. And now it's going to give me an import overview. So total file fields selected 8. So those are my column headers. That sounds correct. Total contacts that I'm importing 4. That sounds correct. And file lines being skipped 1. That is that first file, or yeah, that first line in my file that we're skipping because don't need to import it since I just matched my column headers. When I hit next, those contacts easily get imported. My import is complete. And when I hit finish, those contacts are now uploaded into the system here. Now I can see the type of contact it is. Once I have their statuses filled out or any recent activities, I'll be able to see that. All of these column headers are clickable. So if you want to sort your column based on this particular column header, you just click it and it will go ahead and sort that for you. Same with type, last record update. You even have some quick actions here on your main contact dashboard. So if I want to send an email, add to a campaign, add a note, add an action, or even delete that contact, I can do that directly from my contact dashboard. But now to go in and start adding information, editing information, I am going to click into that contact. We're going to go through everything included here in the contact details and all of these tabs at the top here. So let's start with this main contact details. And all of this is going to be exactly the same information that you can do with your leads. So starting at the top, here's that first and last name, here's that email and phone number that I've imported. If I need to edit that, I can easily just click into any of these text boxes here. If I want to favorite this contact, so it will show up on my favorite contact widget on my home dashboard, easily just click the star. Always going to save any changes that I do, so those changes apply. I can easily schedule a follow-up action here. So maybe I want to set a reminder to call and set up a coffee date. I can do that, can add a description. When do I want to be notified? Maybe I want to be notified tomorrow at 8 a.m. and I can schedule that. I'll show you where that to-do item is going to be. It's going to be on my home dashboard. I can also manage it in this Actions tab. And now I can work my way down. First thing you're going to want to take a look at is your contact details and this basic information. There are 2 fields here, the source and the status. If this is a lead, the source and the status are automatically going to be filled out. The source is where this lead is coming from. For a contact, you can think of it as where do I know this contact from? Maybe they are a referral. Maybe I know them from the PTA at school. I can input my own source here. For a lead, this source is going to be where that lead came from. So it will automatically be filled out. But if you want to put information here, definitely do so. That way you can keep track of how you know this contact. The status is where is this lead or contact in the buying cycle. So if I click this little circular button here, I can choose from these statuses. Are they an active buyer? Are they an active seller? If it's a lead, it will probably be labeled as a new status, coming in as a new lead. If it is a dead lead and you want to remove it from your CRM, you can mark that as dead here. But you can change the status so you know where this person is at in the buying or selling cycle. Making sure any information I add here, I just hit save. That way that information saves. If I want to add a display name, I can. If they have a second email, additional phone numbers, I could even mark if they're a buyer or seller here. That's just for my internal knowledge. Here's more information. If I want to add their spouse name, I can do that here. This date of birth, I can include their date of birth. you can utilize this field in your marketing campaigns, which we'll get to that marketing session. And you can create birthday cards to send out to your contacts. So if you have that information, definitely fill that out. Working our way down on this left side, we will go back up and talk about these items on the right here. Here's a little notes section. This is for your internal use. If you have notes that you want to add, maybe I want to say, ran into Jane at the store and she wants to meet up to grab coffee and discuss her home. Scheduled a reminder to give her a call. Save that note easily gets added. I can see when I added the note. I can edit. I can even delete this note if I wanted to, but this is just for my own internal use here. Scrolling down, here's that social media section. So this section, um, if you have an email address associated with this contact, or if a lead comes in and they input their email address, we use a vendor where we will scrub and try to match their social media profiles here. If we can match social media profiles, we'll list them here. You can check the profile. You can mark it as invalid if we accidentally pulled in incorrect information. There could be a lot of Jane Smiths with close email addresses, but this just allows you other avenues to network and reach out to that contact. So this is why we include that here. This will happen automatically. You won't have to do anything. You won't have to trigger it. As long as you have that email address, or if that lead inputs their email address, then we will go ahead and try to match their social media profiles. The last field at the bottom of this left side are transactions. If this is your buyer or if it is a seller, you can input the last transaction date and the last transaction address here. This allows you just to keep track of those last transaction dates. And you can also use this for your marketing drip campaigns. If you want to send out home anniversary emails, or maybe you know that if this is a buyer that you want to keep up with them and you want to utilize that last transaction date, then you can utilize these fields. So if you have that information, definitely input that in here. Now let's talk about these items on the right side. So this is where I can attach action plans to a contact or a lead. And an action plan is a series of events that can include automatic emails that get sent out, automatically adding them to drip campaigns, automatically scheduling follow up to do items. It is a comprehensive plan on what actions need to be done for this contact or lead. We have some automatically created in the system. If you want to add an action plan, I can add an action plan here. Here's some back at you action plans that are automatically generated. But I'll show you how to create action plans in the Marketing Center session, which I believe is in 2 weeks. So don't worry too much about it. You don't have to jump too far ahead. But these allow you to send automatic emails, schedule to do items, really help keep you on track of what you need to do for this contact or lead. So if you want to add an action plan, you could do that here. Campaigns. If you want to attach this contact to one of your drip campaigns, you can easily do that. I can add them to a campaign. Those campaigns do have to be created. Here are some company campaigns. Here's that contact activity gauge. So on your home dashboard, that contact activity is going to give you a list of all of your contact activities. This contact activities will give you all of this specific contacts interactions. Are they opening your emails? Have they visited your website? Have they logged into their portal? Have they searched up properties? All of that information you can track here. Now, this last area, contact types. This is where you can create specific contact types for your contact list. It allows you to create different labels and really start to organize your contacts. These come into play a lot in that marketing session. That's why we like to start with the CRM first because really helps out understanding how to import your contacts, how you should be organizing your contacts. So when you get to that marketing center, you have a good idea of what marketing you want to create. Do you want to create it specifically for sellers? Do you want to create it specifically for buyers, for new leads coming into the system, for your sphere of influence? And utilizing contact types is going to be best practice when you're using marketing campaigns. So if I want to add different contact types here, I can manage my contact types. Since I favorited that contact, this one automatically gets included, but I can add as many contact types here as I'd like. So maybe I want to do a seller one. Maybe I want to do a potential seller. Maybe I want to do PTA because I know this person from PTA at school. Maybe I want to do referrals, my sphere of influence, buyers. I can manage my contact types. So now these are all my contact types that I've created. These are going to be unique to my own specific CRM. Another agent is not going to have these contact types because I'm creating it in my account. You can easily edit or delete any contact types here. Now that I have those contact types created, I can edit the contact types for this contact and I can add them to all of the contact types that they belong to. Maybe they are a potential seller. I know them from the PTA at school, so I want to include that. I also want to add them to my sphere of influence. And just like that, they're easily added to those contact types. Now, if I'm in my marketing center, let's say I create a drip campaign specifically for my sphere of influence, I can use all of the contacts underneath this contact type. And whenever I add new contacts into my system and I'm adding them to these contact types, they can automatically get opted in to any campaigns that this is attached to. So, pretty cool. This helps you in the marketing section. CRM, there's a lot of fields here, like this transaction section, this date of birth section, that can really start to help you out in your marketing center. That is everything on this contact details tab. Any questions about any of that before we go ahead and move on and work our way through all of these other tabs here? And if you guys don't have any questions, if you just want to type into that chat box, letting me know that you're all set, good to go. That way I know we can go ahead and move on. Perfect. Thank you, you guys. Awesome. So let's go ahead and work our way down these tabs. This next tab is just an attachments tab. If you want to attach certain documents to this contact, you can do that. These are going to be documents that are not a part of a transaction. But if you want to keep certain documents with this contact, then you can definitely do so. All you would have to do is easily upload. If you want to create different folders to start organizing that, you can as well. This next tab is Actions tab. This just allows you to keep track of any to-do items that you have scheduled for this contact. Here's that scheduled follow-up that I created, the call and set up a coffee date. I can manage that here. In the contact itself, I could go to my home dashboard and see that information. If I need to complete it, ignore it, edit it, delete it, I could do that. I can schedule individual actions through this plus new button. I can also add my action plans here. So you can add your action plans on the details page. I could do it here. If I attach an action plan, let's say they are a seller and I want to do that, I can save that information. All of those actions underneath that action plan get listed out. I can see each one. I can go through, click the little hamburger button, edit, delete it if it's not relevant to this specific contact. That way I can really go in and start customizing these actions. Now, all of this will go ahead and start to display if I go back to my home gauge here on my to-do gauge or my home dashboard on my to-do gauge. Here's that call and set up a coffee date. Here are my other items, a part of that action plan. If I need to complete it, I can easily complete it here. Phone call, left voicemail, will try again. I could schedule additional follow-up if I need to. Once I save it, it will go ahead and get removed from my to-do board. Also on my home dashboard, now that I favored that contact, I can easily go back to the contact details directly from my home dashboard. Don't have to go into my CRM, search up that contact. So, and I can keep track of all my completed items as well. So once it gets completed, it doesn't get deleted. That way I know, hey, these are all of the completed actions that I've done for this contact. Can you label phone numbers for husband or wife rather than phone number one and phone number two? So, in this details section, there's no way to change these field names. What you can do is you can add additional fields. You can add additional field information for all of your contacts. To do that, on your main My Contacts and Leads dashboard, when I click on this manage here, I can add custom fields, and custom fields allow me to add any additional field information that I want to add for my contacts. So if I want to create a custom field, maybe I want to say spouse information, I'm going to name it and I'm going to save. I can name this field husband cell phone. And I can save that. If I want to add a field specifically to say wife cell phone, that way I can distinguish the two, I can do that. Now, when I go back into a contact, I have this additional group here, that spouse information, with those fields that I've inputted. So the basic info you can't edit, but you can add specific fields for specific information. So if you need to distinguish, if you want to distinguish it, you definitely can do that. Does that help answer your question, Maria? Yep, no problem. Good question. And since we kind of jumped to custom fields, does that make sense for everyone? Any questions on custom fields? Awesome. Any questions on this actions tab that we just reviewed? Perfect. Then let's go ahead and jump to this next tab, this communications tab. This allows you to keep track of all emails that you are sending out to this specific contact or lead. So if you're sending drip campaigns, if I want to easily click this plus new, send them an email, I can do that. Oh, let me go back. But keep in mind, this is only an outgoing email center. This just allows you to keep track of all of that correspondence going out to that contact in one place. If they respond to that email, that response will just go to your own email inbox. This next tab, this property watch tab, this is where you can create portal accounts for your contacts and then create property watches for your contacts to view via their portal. So if you remember, I'm just going to pull up my demo site here and it's going to automatically pull in that portal. I'm just going to log out. So on your websites, if I'm on home, I have all of these options at the top, I have this My Portal option. In this My Portal option, I can create an account and I can keep track of open houses, any new to market notifications. I can get notifications for image changes for properties that I'm following, for status changes, price changes. So this allows them to really search up and get notified of different properties on the MLS. They can go to your website and create that account themselves, or let's say they're your client, you want to create that account for them. That way they don't have to do that. You definitely can. Upload them as a contact, and in this property watch section, here's that portal area. Easily create their portal account by clicking this green create a My Portal account. It's going to automatically create a user ID. Feel free to change this. This is just going to pull in the email, but if you only want it to be their first initial last name, no problem. If you want it to be that email, go ahead and do that. We always recommend for these user IDs, stay consistent. If you want it to be an email that's pretty consistent across all different logins, easy for your clients to remember, then you could do that. System's going to auto generate a password for them. They are going to be able to change that, just allows them to log in. And then you're going to want to send them that welcome email so they can receive their user ID and their password information. Once I create that, they will now go ahead and get a welcome email with a link to my website to log in to their portal here. Now that I've created their portal, you can mark it as active or inactive. Do you want to CC yourself on any emails? You can mark that as yes or no. And do you want to send them property watch emails where you can create these property watches, set the criteria, which we'll walk through. And if you do want to send them property watch emails, do you want to do it daily or whenever the MLS changes? We are pinging your MLS every 5 to 15 minutes. Every MLS is different for updated information. So if there's a lot of changes happening on the MLS that day, this can become a lot of emails. If you just want to send them a daily summary of those property watches, then you could choose this option. Now that you have that portal account created, go ahead and start creating them property watches. This makes it a lot easier for your clients to go into their account, look at these property watches. They can edit these property watches or they can create their own. All of that is going to show in that contact activity on the details page. That way you can keep track of what they're searching for. So if I want to create a property watch, I just click that green create a property watch button. I am going to want to name this property watch. If you want to do specific property types based on the criteria that you're going to set, maybe a price point, maybe locations, you can name your property watch that way. So your client knows what properties to expect in here. I'm just going to name this something generic, January Homes 2021. Do I want to send them email updates? Yes or no? And if it's marked to yes, do I want to email my client on whenever status changes, reduced prices, open houses? If I don't want one of these, just easily uncheck that. Now you set your criteria for the property type, and you can see down here at the bottom, there is a big number here. You want to get this number down. Record or max number that you can send here is 100, but that's also a lot of properties to list through. So you want to get this number down a bit, set your criteria. Maybe you want to do a minimum and a max here. You can see as I start making changes, this number is going to change. That went down. Going to start marking these. I have additional property types to choose from, and then some more options down here. Now that I've set my property type criteria, I can set my location. There are two ways to set your location. I could do it by a list where I can click into these little blue boxes and I can check or uncheck different areas that I want to include. If I want to do it by county, by cities, by zip codes, by areas, communities. I could do that. Or I could utilize a map, and this is just going to be a generalized area. If you zoom out, you can see this number is going to increase. If you want to move the map around, the number is going to change here. The more you zoom out, the more listings it's going to include. So now that I've set my property type and my locations, I've got this number down significantly. I'm going to go ahead and hit next. Here are all of those match properties. If I want to only send a few right now, I can select those options. If I want to send all of those match properties, I can. Maybe I just want to create the property watch. I do not want to send the email at this time. When I hit next, it's going to give me a preview. I could send it, or if I just exit this, that property watch gets created. I can now edit or delete this property watch. I can create new property watches. Here are the stats. I can see if they saved any or removed any. Here are those watch properties. If I want to view them, I can. Now, when my client goes to their portal account and log in, and I'm just using my demo portal account, I actually also have a listing connected here. So if they do not have a listing, they're not going to see that listing activity. It's just going to be what we call a buyer portal where they can review watches. I can see all of my property watches here, whether I create a new search where I can go in, name my property watch, set my criteria, or I can edit the one that you've created for me. And all of the changes that I'm doing here, you will be able to keep track of via the contact activity. If I saved any properties, I can see them here. And if I've hidden any, I can also see them here. Any questions on the My Portal part of your website or how to create property watches? No questions, you guys? You guys are all set? Okay, perfect. You don't have to worry about this transaction tab. Okay, I'll wait if Maria has a question. I try to wait a little bit because I know sometimes it takes a while to type in the question. Okay, perfect. Is setting up a buyer portal similar to setting up a seller portal? Yes. So setting up this My Portal account is going to create this as a buyer portal. What is going to change it to a seller portal is connecting the listings to this contact, which is actually going to be this next tab. So you won't have to worry about this transactions tab. Transactions is phase two of training. But in this listings tab, this is where I can connect my listings, and since I'm just the support account, I don't have any listings here, but I can connect my listings to their seller. Once I have their listing connected, that is what changes this portal account into a seller account where they can now see their listing activity here. I can, any action items that I schedule for their listings, keep in mind these are past due because this is my demo account. Any action items that I'm scheduling to do for their listing, I can make them visible so my client can see, hey, this is everything I'm doing to get your listing sold, as well as get analytics, where their website or where their listing is being searched on the web, where their listing is being referred from, Google, company website. It's going to show me similar properties in the area. I can even see the competition in the area. That way, your seller can really see, hey, this is my listing activity, and this is how my listing activity compares to what's going on in the market right now. And this is also what I'm doing as your agent to get your listing sold. So if you do not have a listing connected, it's just going to be a buyer's portal where they can search up properties. You can still um, connect with them via their portal. What turns it into a seller portal is connecting their listing with their seller here via their CRM. You can also do it in the listing details area, which we'll cover next week. But if you're adding your contact into the system, you can easily attach a listing here. And if this client has multiple listings, maybe they have two listings, you can attach multiple listings to the same contact. And both listings will appear in their portal for them to manage. Is the only database it can pull data from the MLS. When you're talking about data, what data are you referring to? And yes, we're covering some of this next week in the listing management section, definitely. It will probably make a little bit more sense after the listing section. We like to introduce the portal, and that way next week when we talk about the listing management area, we come back to the portal and dive into it a little bit more. So are you talking about like this information or like the website activity information? Because these analytics are pulling from your website. Oh, got it. The portal information. So if they are like doing property watches, that information is just pulling in from the MLS. Yes. Good question. So if I was to search up a property, I'm doing that via the MLSs. Yep. No problem. Awesome, you guys. That's all the information I have for the CRM. This last portion, this history tab, all of your contacts and leads have this history tab. And this is just a history of all of the changes that you're making to this contact. When the contact was created, when you added them to a contact type, when you've added notes, when you added an action plan. If you change any information for that contact, it will be listed here. So if you wanted to be reminded, hey, when did I update their email address? Or when did I add them to that contact type? You can keep track of all of that history here. So gives you just a full history of what you've done with this contact. Perfect. So I'm going to do a quick review. We started on the home dashboard, reviewed some of these gauges. I can easily access my contacts and leads here. My contact activity will start to fill out as I start sending out emails, creating portals, having my contacts interact with my website. All of my to-do action items that I'm scheduling for a specific contact. I can see exactly who that contact is. I'll be able to keep track of on my to-do gauge. Any marketing activities that I start, I'll be able to manage here. I can access any favorite contacts. This allows me to easily go to that contact detail so I don't have to go into my CRM, search them up. I could do that. I can also go into my customer relations, click on my contacts and leads. This is going to open up my main contact dashboard. It's going to include contacts and leads. I can filter it for contacts only, leads only. I can create custom views here. To start uploading contacts into the system, you could do that individually by clicking this new contact, or I can bulk upload a list of contacts by clicking manage and import contacts here. Remember, it does have to be a CSV file in order for us to get those contacts imported. If you have additional fields, so if your CSV file has additional fields with information that isn't already included in this basic info, you can upload your list with those fields. Just make sure you add those custom fields first. Otherwise, you'll just have to go back and input this information manually after you add those custom fields. But if your CSV file has additional data columns that are not an option in the dropdown, add those as custom fields and you'll be able to select that. Makes it a little bit easier when you're uploading your contacts. Now, within the contact details itself, you have all of the basic information you can fill out. Don't forget to fill out fields such as their birth date. If you want to send them birthday cards or in your drip campaigns, you can add notes. Start thinking about what contact types you may want to utilize to organize your contact list. Here's those transaction dates that you can include. You can also use those in your marketing drip campaigns. Working our way down here, add attachments to your contacts, keep track of all of the action items that you need to do. Here's that outgoing communication center for you to keep track of all outgoing communication. And don't forget to create those portal accounts, especially for your clients to utilize via your website. Once you have their portal created, create property watches for them. And then if it is your seller, make sure you attach that listing because then it creates that portal account into a seller portal where they can really go in, see their listing activity, as well as search up properties on the MLS. Will the calendar to do sync with Google Calendar? As of right now, those do not sync with the Google Calendar or an Outlook calendar. It is in our pipeline to get that integration. So hopefully upcoming pretty soon. I don't have an exact timeline, but we do want to get that integration for those to do items to be able to sync to your Google Calendar or Outlook calendar, whatever calendar you're utilizing. I know. It's our product team has it in the works. We're just waiting for them to hit the go on it. All right, you guys. Any last questions for me about anything that we covered here? Also want to show you can easily filter your contact list. If you want to see more contacts that are just than this 25, you can change that up here. So lots of capabilities. And our next session, we will be talking about your listing management, which will help explain that portal a little bit more. The week after that, we dive into that marketing center, which is one of my favorite sessions, and it really starts to tie in everything together. No problem, you guys. Well, if there are no last questions, that's all I got. I'll stay on the line for another minute or two, see if you guys have any last questions here. Did record the session, so I will be sending out that recording in just a bit as soon as the video renders. But thank you guys for your time today. Looking forward to our session next week, and I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day. I'll speak to you soon, guys.